This is the WGNS Action Line, talking with Rutherford County newsmakers about what matters most to you. Now, your host, Scott Walker.
Today, our guest is Dr. Craig McCabe, eye doctor with McCabe Vision Center. So what all's happening with you today? Did you have a good weekend?
Man, I did have a good weekend. I caught up on a lot of chores, and it's maybe not that much fun doing it, but it's good when it's done and you've got those burdens off your back.
I agree, and there's always stuff to be done around the house, around McCabe Vision Center. There's always just stuff to be done no matter what.
Yes, that's the third law of thermodynamics, is that everything tends towards randomness or chaos, or entropy is the scientific word. And if you leave things alone, they'll go to their lowest energy state, which is typically a total mess. And so I'm out of the total mess situation now, but I'm sure everyone else can relate. Now we're back to work on Monday. But boy, wasn't it a beautiful, albeit warm. I hope everybody enjoyed the Friday night on the square here in Murfreesboro. It was packed and everyone had a really good time.
It was a good event. And those things are fun, but the best part about them, they're free. But there's lots to do around the square, lots of places to eat, to shop. It's a good setting.
Yeah, and I want to give our local business owners, especially those around the square, some congrats, because now they're starting to turn in that old-time town square to being very quaint and enjoyable with a good vibe where you walk around the corner and you hear some music. And that's very nice to see and hear.
I agree. Again, Dr. Craig McCabe, eye doctor, joining us this morning. And for listeners out there, feel free to text us any questions you may have, and Dr. McCabe will get them answered for you. And in fact, I think we already have a question or two here. We do. Okay, this first one says, my eyes feel gritty in the morning. Does that mean I'm not sleeping enough, or is this allergy related?
Mm-hmm. So this is probably one of the most common questions we get as eye doctors for the average visit, and that's that their eyes are in some way uncomfortable. They may be sandy, gritty, burning. They may get intermittent blurriness, and all those are hallmarks of dry eyes, whereas allergies, you feel like you want to rub and scratch your eyes out. And I'll tell you, the best thing to do for these things is get yourself a brand name bottle of lubricating artificial teardrops. Put one drop in each eye 3 to 4 times a day for like 3 days. And if that gets remarkably better, then you know that you have a dry eye problem, which is probably the most common of all eye problems, affecting probably 70% of the patients I see. And they'll have those symptoms, and they'll start using the drops, and that'll make it feel better. Now, sometimes that better feeling only lasts for, 10, 15, 20 minutes, and then it starts to come back again. If that's the case, then you've got a more significant dry eye problem, and you need more than just what artificial teardrops will give you over the counter. And of course, you need to go see your eye care professional for that. And we have great treatments. It's 2025. We got great treatments for dry eyes.
It seems like there are so many callers or those who text in, and
maybe it's during allergy season, and you have other sinusitis issues, or maybe it's year-round, because half of allergy sufferers are only seasonal and half are year-round. And if that's the case, there are some good over-the-counter allergy eye drops. One that I like to recommend is called Pat-A-Day. You get the one with the green label, which is the full strength. And again, that's only one drop in each eye in the morning. And if that takes care of all that itchiness, then you know that you had an allergy eye problem. But once again, if that doesn't take care of it, then you may have something more significant, or you may have a combination of the two, which is probably the next most likely thing. In which case, again, go see your eye care professional, and they can easily help you with the most common of symptoms.
You know, it seems like there's so many callers who have some type of eye-related problem, but the answer is often that dry eyes. I mean, that it seems like that is very common, dry eyes.
Oh, it so much is. There's been studies done on it. When we're 60, we make 60% of the moisture in our eyes that we do when we're 20. And it's kind of like all our glands. They kind of dry up as time goes on. And with women, it's even more so, and especially when they become post-menopausal. And that's due to, of course, hormonal changes. But whatever the reason, I'll tell you, a lot of people now, and I'm ringing your bell, a lot of people now are having issues with the medications they take. And if you're on antidepressants, or if you're on pain medications, or if you're taking beta blockers for blood pressure, or if you're on antidepressants, or if you have thyroid disease, or if you have a autoimmune or connective tissue disease, all those things can cause a dry eye, besides just getting more birthdays under your belt.
Interesting.
Have your eye care professional figure out what it is, and lots of times you can change things slightly and make it better for you.
And, the magic of radio, we've mentioned this before. Now, all of a sudden, Dr. McCabe is in studio. I mean, just like the snap of a finger. I don't know how you do it, Dr. McCabe, but he is now in studio. He is putting his headphones on right now. And just a second ago, he was not here with us, but here you are. That's amazing.
Yeah, just transported here like Star Trek. But we're here now, and so we'd love to hear things that are questions about eyes. And maybe they're simple things like that. Maybe they are more complex things. Maybe it's cataract surgery, glaucoma, diabetes, macular degeneration, contacts, glasses, anything that you have about you or a loved one or something you'd simply like to know more about, or maybe you heard about, we would love to talk about, because chances are there's 20 other people listening that would like to hear the same things.
And again, our phone number is 615-893-1450. And here's another question. Why do some people's eyes... Now, I know you've answered this one before, but it's why do some people's eyes change color slightly over the years? Can that be a health warning? But I do know... I remember you talking about that probably a couple of months ago, actually.
Really? Well, let's see how impactful that was to you. What do you remember about it?
Well,
it's okay. I'm just having fun. It's Monday morning. We're all having fun. But, the things about our eyes is that they become lighter in color as we get older. Well, and I'll bet you if you look at your parents or your grandparents or even yourself in the mirror, if you're getting anywhere near my age and you feel like when you were younger you'd have to fight off the dinosaurs. But so what happens is we have a lens in our eye that helps to focus light on our retina, and it's just behind the iris, which is the colored part of our eye, and it's held together with several little fine collagen strings that are called zonules. But they move, and that lens is allowed to move. And when we're younger, the movement of muscles and the zonules causes our focus to change, and that's why we can see up close. But as we get older, especially in your later 40s, that lens starts to get thicker and harder and denser, and it can't change its shape as much, and we have to hold our reading material further out. until finally we say, all right, I give in. I'm going to get a pair of reading glasses. And then that takes care of it for a while. Or if you're wearing glasses, then you have to add the bifocal or the no lines to your prescription to see up close. Anyways, those little zonules, those little tethers, they can rub on the backside of the eye. And the backside of the eye is where the pigment is on the iris. And so it can slowly over time rub off the pigment, and that's what changes eye color. People with the densest pigment have brown eyes. And if you have a little less pigment, you may have green. If you have a little less, you may have green-blue with a little bit of pigment called hazel-colored eyes. And of course, if you've lost a lot of the pigment, you have blue eyes, which are so pretty. And so our eyes tend to go more towards a blue-gray color as we get older.
Hey, I'm curious, how much better have glasses and contact lenses gotten over the years? Like over the last 20 years or so, how much better have they gotten?
Well, if we talk about contacts, where they've really improved is on their water content and their oxygen transmittability. So they can transmit more oxygen from the outside to the surface of our eye. And they have a better water content, which helps to exchange the tear film and things in our eyes and keep the contacts moist. But still, if you've got a dry eye problem, you're struggling with your contacts and your eyes get red later in the day. They get more uncomfortable to wear. Maybe your vision starts to get a little blurry. And if that's your issue with contacts, most likely you're having a dry eye problem. If you'd had LASIK surgery before, chances are, about 90% of those people get a dry eye problem. And then when you add medications, other diseases, things like that, it can get even more so. But the big advance with contacts have probably been their physical properties of having more moisture, which is more comfort, transmitting more oxygen, which is healthier for our eyes. And then lastly, of course, they've gone from the hard contacts, the rigid gas permeables, to the softs, and now we have dailies, which are really the best contacts for you, if those are right for you. And then also we have multifocal contacts, so they have rings of power. So now, when you get over 45 and you like to wear contacts, you can get multifocals and you'll be able to read without reading glasses. So that's been for contacts. And then for glasses, it's been lighter glasses, thinner lenses. They have a higher refractive index, so they need less thickness to bend the light and focus it. And then also, we've had what's called wavefront adoption into the lenses where we adjust them, because when we look straight ahead, we need more power in our glasses. When we are off to the side, we need progressively less. And so if we adjust for that, which is according to what's called wavefront measurements, and that's put into the side of the glasses, when you get those no-line lenses, they'll be less swimmy on the sides. They'll have less distortion on the sides. But in order to get these kind of lenses, you can't get the cheapest glasses. You've got to get the premium lenses. But then you'll enjoy them. They'll be more comfortable. You'll be able to wear them longer, perform better with them. So those are the recent advances in contacts and glasses.
And again, in studio, we have Dr. Craig McCabe, and you can find him online at McCabeVisionCenter.com. Right now, you can text us any questions you may have for the doctor at 615-893-1450. And here's an interesting question. And it asks, is it true your eyes are the only part of your body that never grow after birth? I've never heard that question before. Nor do I know the answer.
Yeah, so it's actually the opposite. The lens in your eye continues to grow throughout your life and is one of the few tissues that do. Huh. Our nose and our ears kind of grow with gravity. You know what I mean? But it's not due to them making more cells. And in our eyes, the lens, which is what helps to focus light on the back of the retina, like we said, continues to grow, just like the rings of a tree. But a tree can grow outwards. The lens is held in a capsule, and so it can't grow outwards. It's in a confined space. It grows denser. And as it grows denser and denser, we start to notice it when we're young kids. When we're 2-3 years old, we can sit right in front of the TV a couple feet away, and it's like going to the IMAX, and you can watch all your cartoons, and it's great because your eye can focus that closely because it can change its shape. But as it starts to get denser, in other words, cataracts are starting when we're little kids. As it starts to get denser, we don't like sitting close to the TV anymore. Instead of 2 feet away, now we got to back up maybe 4 or 5 feet away, right, when we're 4 or 5 years old. And that progresses. And then when we're in our 40s, we have to start holding reading material further away. So again, the lens has gotten denser to the point where it can't change its shape as much to focus up close. And so that's when we have to go to readers. And then typically in our 60s, it starts to get so dense, not only does it not change shape well at all, but light doesn't come through it clearly anymore. It gets scattered. And that's how we know we're starting to develop cataracts. Because when we're driving at night, we see the scattering of light in our eyes, and we perceive it as glare and halos, which are probably the number one most common symptom for cataracts. And then it's gotten so dense that you have to get it removed to see clearly, and you get placed an artificial acrylic lens that either has one power, like contacts, or multiple powers, like contacts, so that you have a range of vision. And then after that, you're typically good for a while, and things don't change much.
Here's another question. It says, talk a little bit about using red light for the eyes. It seems popular now. And I don't know if they're talking about those red light masks that I've seen.
Yep, you're right. You're right. Or that, or some doctors in their office may have panels of red lights that you stick your face up to for a few minutes. But red light in general, through the near infrared spectrum, helps to encourage blood flow to that area. And so it's been used as a treatment for dry eyes. In my hands, in my office, it's not nearly as effective as other treatments that we have for dry eyes. But where light can work very well on the face is on the oil glands, on superficial blood vessels that people get, and on pigment spots or aging spots on the face, chest, where have you, on the skin. And then intense pulse light, or IPL, can help those things fade significantly. And we have a lot of patients who have benefited from that a lot. If you want to have a significant treatment for your eyes for dry eyes, the red light or the intense pulse light helps a little, but not as much as, say, an oil gland treatment. Our oil glands are in our eyelids right behind the eyelashes, and there's a whole bunch on the upper and on the lower lids, and they make the outer coat of the tear film. Just like oil sits on top of water, it sits on the water layer of the tear film and prevents it from evaporating. And if you've got a poor oil coat, then the water can evaporate quicker, and that's one of the most common causes of a dry eye problem that we said was so common. So you can get an oil gland treatment where you have to get rid of all the thickened oil. I equate it to like Crisco, and it's replaced by the normal thin oil, like Wesson vegetable oil, corn oil, whatever you want to say, and that will coat the tear film and it'll function good once again. So those are the main treatments. There's lots of treatments for things, and usually with a disease, if there's 10 different treatments, we don't know how to cure it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But if there's 2 or 3, then we've got a pretty good idea about how to take care of it. And really, for dry eyes, if you work your way down the line, if you have a significant dry eye that needs more than artificial tear supplementation or tear duct plugs, then typically you're looking at oil gland treatments, and they can help quite a bit. Now, if it's due to the other things we talked about, your medications, then we have to have a talk with your doctor about shifting you to a medication that doesn't cause dryness. And so there's more other things in it, but in general, for most people, that's what takes care of it best.
And here's another question for you. It says, Dr. McCabe, can you settle a disagreement between myself and my husband? And here's the disagreement. It says, can staring at my phone too long actually make my eyesight worse, or is this just another thing he's saying for me to get off my phone more? Interesting.
That's cute. Well, now you may be on your phone too much, especially if it's at dinner or you're having a nice conversation. Your attention should be devoted to each other, and it goes for him just as much as you. And what's even harder is to get your kids to understand that.
Yes.
But there's a time to be on your phone, and there's time not to be. Anyways, as we get more dependent on any of these video display screens, whether it's a phone or a tablet or a laptop or our monitors. Lots of times people are on one or two monitors at work all day, and then they go home and they spend the time on their tablet or their phone, and oh my gosh, they're on that a lot. And what's been studied in science is that when we're focusing intently on things up close like this, our blink rate is half as much as when we're not. So blinking remoisturizes our eyes. And so it's very common for people that are on their video display screens, whatever they may be, for significant periods of time, that they get a dry eye problem and they get eye strain. And that's why there's this 20-20-20 rule, which means every 20 minutes that you're doing these things, for 20 seconds, just 20 seconds, you should look up in the distance, blink your eyes several times, maybe close them for 5-10 seconds, and relax your eyes. So, let's try to settle this major heated discussion, and that being on your phone, yes, it can cause a dry eye and temporarily give you eye strain, make you feel uncomfortable, blur your vision, but it doesn't do it permanently. However, you should take breaks, you should keep your eyes moist, and that's what keeps them at their healthiest.
So this would go for the video gamers out there as well. They should kind of pause every once in a while?
Absolutely everybody that looks video display screens, once again, whether it's phone, tablet, monitors, laptop, any of these kind of things that we spend so much time with.
Yeah.
So, and we all do this. We all do this now, right? We all pretty much do this in general, and so we all have to be careful about that. So having a bottle of artificial teardrops with you is a helpful thing. And just take care of it and keep it clean, and it will help you. And then about who's right and who's wrong, the answer is almost always she's right, and appreciate her and give her credit. But it's nice that you're looking out for her as well.
And here's another one that, I don't know, I guess it could be somewhat related. It says, do those blue light glasses really help people, or are they just a fad?
Another good question that's in the common database for questions asked most often, and that is, we know for a fact that blue light interferes with the pineal gland, kind of stimulates it in our brain, which is deep in the center of the brain, but there's neurons from the eyes that, through other connections, innervate it. And this will keep us awake when we're trying to get to sleep at night. So absolutely, it interferes with your sleep-wake cycle. And that's why all the phones, all the TVs now tablets, laptops, everything has a night mode or a blue light mode. Even the car displays are getting them now. So, everything's getting it because it's a fact. It does. So you should not be on those things. Say a half an hour, 45 minutes before bed, it'll make it harder for you to go to sleep. And if you're having a hard time, then of course you don't need that. But now, as far as eye strain up close during the day, the studies have not shown that, the good scientific studies. However, glare can. Maybe you need to have one of those little polarized films that you can put on your screen. Maybe you're under a lot of fluorescent light, which can also cause reflections and glare. That is not good. That does cause eye strain. So that's pretty much the issues about what is known as of today on blue light.
So fluorescent lights, as an example, they are in general not very good for us. Because I've heard people say, I get headaches every day at work when I'm under fluorescent lights. So is there some truth there?
Well,
we're sitting under fluorescent light?
Yeah, let's look. This is pot calling the kettle black here, Scott. So we got a big.
Very big.
What is it, like an 8-foot tube? It's two tubes of 8-foot tubes of fluorescent lights above our heads right now.
That's right.
And it's not a good light. Can you see that flickering, Scott?
I can't see it flickering.
Yeah, so they need to be replaced. I know you don't want to hear that. But anyways, people will tell me, gosh, I walk in Walmart, I walk in Target or whatever, and those fluorescent lights or Lowe's or Home Depot, any of those stores that have a lot of that shooting down, that they're uncomfortable. They don't like it. They want to get in and out. So really, if they want to keep their customers in their stores, besides working on their end caps, they need to work on their lights. But anyways, that's another story. So yes, they can, because they're not a good light at all. If you want the best light that you can read with, you're going to get a daylight temperature LED bulb. And I tell a lot of my patients this, and they'll come back and they'll say, I didn't believe you, but I gave it a try, and you were right. It does help my reading, and I can see better. So the daylight LED bulbs, you get them in their value or their bonus pack, and they cost $2 a bulb. They pay for themselves in a year because they use 1/5 or 1/6 the wattage, and they last 15 years. So that's why all the government buildings have gone to them, is because it helps their people on their paperwork and their forms, and it saves them money. So why shouldn't you do the same?
Yeah. There was a while there where fluorescent lights were the big thing because they were so much cheaper to operate than the regular, incandescent light bulbs and all that stuff. But yeah, they're irritating. They flicker at how many, I don't know how many times per second.
You look right at them and you want to turn your head away, right?
Yes, I'm embarrassed of them. Horrible stuff.
Well, gosh. And and of course you want to have a diffusion cover on it, which you don't have either.
That's right.
And that can make things worse.
We're giving away free headaches as people come by the station. Here's another question. And again, our phone number is 615-893-1450. We'll take this question, then after that we'll take a short break. But here's another one for Dr. McCabe. It says, sometimes I see little flashes of light in the corner of my eye. What could this be or be a sign of?
So this is one of those broad, questions that could have multiple answers. But basically, if we're having what again, Scott? If we're having problems with...
Let me go back to it. Sometimes I see flashes of light.
So this goes to be how bad it's bothering you. If it's an occasional one that's not much, and you don't have any new floaters or loss of side vision, that's usually perfectly fine and indicates that the jelly in the back of the eye, called the vitreous, is slowly pulling away from the retina and back as it liquefies as we get older. Common thing, normal. And as it tugs on the retina, it can stimulate the underlying rods and cones that we perceive images and light with, and we'll see a little flick of light from it. But now, if you're getting 10, 20, 30 at a time, like there's a lightning storm going off in your eye. Or if you're having not one or two floaters, but a whole bunch of floaters, like you're looking through a swarm of bugs, gnats. Or if you feel like part of your vision from below or the side is creeping in towards the center and it's blurred or dim, those are all significant risk factors that you should see a doctor, an eye doctor, for quickly, because you may be developing a retinal tear or a retinal detachment, which gives the symptoms of a whole bunch of flashes, a whole bunch of floaters, and loss of side vision. So any of those things you want to, be seen within 48 hours. And your eye doctor should get you right in with those symptoms.
And again, we're talking with Dr. Craig McCabe, local eye doctor from McCabe Vision Center. If you have any questions, text them in quickly because we only have a few more minutes. But our number is 615-893-1450. We're going to take a short break and then we will be right back.
Bigger isn't always better. When it comes to your financial institution, don't send your money to some far-off bank in another state. At Heritage South Community Credit Union, we help when others won't. We've been serving our community since 1957 and are still locally owned and operated in Middle Tennessee. If you're tired of talking to artificial intelligence and computer screens and branches, give Heritage South a try. Learn more at heritagesouth.org. Insured by NCUA.
FM 1019, FM 100.5, WGNSradio.com. The Good Neighbor Network.
I'm a single mom, and as you can imagine, it's a fight sometimes just to get out the door. But when I need new tires or something's wrong with my car, I need to head to someone I can trust. I go to Tire World.
Tire World, we keep your family rolling. Tire World, locally owned and operated.
The Action Line on FM 101.9 and AM 1450 Murfreesboro, FM 100.5 Smyrna. Listen and watch at WGNSradio.com.
Dr. Craig McCabe from McCabe Vision Center is in studio with us this morning. And again, his website, McCabeVisionCenter.com. But he is on Heritage Park Drive right here in the borough. I guess the easiest way to describe how to get there, you head down Memorial and depending on what direction you're coming from, where do
maybe
you
up
turn?
Memorial, right?
It could be up Memorial.
You're driving on Memorial, and what are you heading towards? How would you tell
Let's
people?
say we're going towards Sportscom coming from town.
Okay. And, we're the 24-hour Walgreens. Most people know that one.
Yep.
Thank goodness we have one, by the way, so thank you for that, Walgreens. And the next light past that is Heritage Park Drive. And the KFC is there, the Oscar Tacos. What used to be First Bank is now Truist. And so we're right next to them. So we're just off the corner there at Heritage Park and Memorial. Real easy to get in and out of. And, we talked about the dry eyes. We talked about the skin issues with pigment, superficial blood vessels. One of the things that is another common thing with people's skin on their face and stuff is called rosacea. And the number one treatment for that, the best, most effective, is intense pulse light. And I should say at our office, we've got a full skincare center. So if you want to treat your rosacea or your skin pigment, or you want to get rid of wrinkles and all these things, we have the Botox and the fillers and the radiofrequency microneedling and everything you need for that for your skin. So we want to make everything about your eyes and also your face looking good for you.
I have another question here asking, are there any vitamins or supplements that can actually help with my eye health that would also be beneficial for other things as well?
Yeah, and we also have the full range of eye vitamins at our office. And we have special ones which are specific for if you have glaucoma, if you have macular degeneration, if you have dry eyes, or diabetes in your eyes. So they each have kind of certain specific formulas that have been shown to help those issues. And but just if you don't have any eye problems and everything's good, and you've seen the eye doctor and he says everything's great, you're healthy, just a once-a-day multivitamin is what everybody should take. And I think that everyone would benefit from that, and that's something inexpensive over the counter.
Next question here. My daughter buys inexpensive contact lenses online. Are these dangerous for her? Because I've always told her they are. Well, if Mom always said it, then it could be true.
Yeah, Mom, she's right. I always believe Mom when she comes in, by the way. You're not an intelligent doctor if you don't believe Mom, because she's with the patient 24/7. Anyways, so with contacts, you want to get a brand name. It's like almost everything you get. There's usually issues when you don't, but get a brand name and then make sure your eye doctor checks how they fit on your eyes and that you see well with them. Then the doctor's done their part. Then you have to do your part, which is you have to keep them clean. You don't overwear them. You don't sleep in them. If your eyes start to get red or uncomfortable, you take them out. You clean them like you should, and you don't abuse them. And if you do those things, then you're a responsible person and you'll do great with your contacts.
Are contact lenses in general expensive anyway, or are they cheap? I don't know how much they cost.
So they're more expensive than glasses, typically, especially if you're getting astigmatism correction. More so if you're getting full range vision, the multifocal contacts. More if you're getting multifocal contacts with astigmatism correction, and more if you're getting the multifocal contacts with astigmatism correction that are daily wear.
That's a lot.
Those are the most expensive ones. But boy, do you see good with them, and do they feel good wearing them. So it's like a lot of things in life. But the main thing is that you have the right prescription, they fit you correctly, and that you take care of them responsibly. And then they'll do you well for years and years and years. But one day a week, I tell my patients, they should not wear them. Ooh, a lot of people perked up. One day a week, you should not wear your contacts. Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday, whatever day you want, you should wear your glasses. Because it is kind of like a plastic blanket on your cornea that does inhibit tear film exchange. It does inhibit oxygenation of the surface of the eye. And so give your eyes a day to rejuvenate, reoxygenate, and they'll thank you for it.
Sounds good. Again, Dr. Craig McCabe in studio, and we are already out of time, but definitely visit McCabeVisionCenter.com. Dr. McCabe, thanks for joining us.
Yeah, thanks. There's a wealth of information on our website. I want to thank all the great questions. We'll be back here again the second Monday of the month, each month, and I hope everyone has a great week that's looking up.